Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nilam Azahra Junita. My official number is A1N2190998. Okay, I would like to explain the material about using portfolio for assessment or alternative assessment. According to Russell Aaron G. Lucas, portfolio are a collection of student work over time. They often document student has worked and may include other type of process information such as draft of the student work, the student self-assessment of the work, and the parent assessment. In LTE language testing evaluation, the use of student portfolio as an assessment tool is part of the movement toward performance assessment as it exhibits what students can do using the language and the process leading to a particular product. Therefore, it should focus on the process as well as the product in order to reflect the student effort, ability, skill, knowledge, and achievement, and to give a clear idea about the learning teaching process as a whole. Thus, student portfolio can be used to assess performance and progress. Portfolio assessment can be used for formative assessment, for summative assessment, or both. This makes the portfolio a flexible and robust assessment method. Next, step of portfolio assessment. Although many variations of portfolio assessment are in use, most fall into two basic types: process portfolio and product portfolio. Called Ryan and Cake, 1995. These are not the only kind of portfolio in use, nor are they pure type clearly distinct from each other. It may be more helpful to think of this as two steps in the portfolio assessment process, as the participant and staff reflectively select items from their process portfolio for inclusion in the product portfolio. Uh, the first step is to develop a process portfolio, which document grow over time toward a goal. Documentation includes statement of the end goals, criteria, and plan of the future. This should include baseline information or item describing the participant performance or mastery level at the beginning of the program. Other items are work in progress, selected at many interim points to demonstrate steps toward mastery. At this stage, the portfolio is a formative evaluation tool, probably most useful for the internal information of the participant and staff as they plan for the future. The second step is to develop a product portfolio, also known as a best pitches portfolio, which include example of the best effort of a participant, community, or program. These also include final evidence, or items which demonstrate attainment of the end goals. Product or best place portfolio encourage reflection about change or learning. The program participants, either individually or in group, are involved in selecting the content, the criteria for selection, and the criteria for judging merit and evidence that the criteria have been met. Vinograd and Jones, 1992. For individual and community alike, this provides opportunity for a sense of ownership and strength. It helps to showcase or communicate the accomplishment of the person or program. At this stage, the portfolio is an example of summative evaluation and may be particularly useful as a public reflection tool. Next, distinguished characteristic. Certain characteristics are essential to the development of any type of portfolio used for assessment. According to Barton and Collins, 1997, portfolio should be first, multi-source, allowing for the opportunity to evaluate a variety of specific evidence. Multiple data sources include both people, statement and observation of participant, teacher or program staff, parent and community member, and artifact, anything from test score to photo, drawing, journal, and audio or video type of performance. 2. Authentic. Context and evidence are directly linked. The items selected or produced for evidence should be related to program activities as well as the goal and criteria. If the portfolio is assessing the effect of a program on participants or communities, then the evidence should reflect the activities of the program rather than skills that were gained elsewhere. For example, if a child musical performance skill were gained through private piano lesson, not through for its activity, an audio type will be irrelevant in his for its portfolio. If a 4H activity involves the same child in teaching other children to play, the type might be relevant. 3. Dynamic. Capturing growth and change. An important feature or portfolio assessment is that data or evidence is added at many points in time, not just as before and after measure. Rather than including only the best work, the portfolio should include examples of different stages of mastery. At least some of the time are self-selected. This allow a much richer understanding of the process of change. 4. Explicit. Purpose and goal are clearly defined. The student or program participant should know in advance what is expected of them so that they can take responsibility for developing their evidence. 5. Integrated. Evidence should establish a correspondence between program activities and live expression. Participants should be asked to demonstrate how they can apply their skill or knowledge to real life situations. 6. Based on ownership. The participant help determine evidence to include and goals to be met. The portfolio assessment process should require that the participant engage in some reflection and self-evaluation as they select the evidence to include and set or modify their goal. They are not simply being evaluated or graded by others. 7. Multi-purpose, allowing assessment of the effectiveness of the program while assessing performance of the participant. A well-designed portfolio assessment process evaluates the effectiveness of your intervention at the same time that it evaluates the growth of individuals or communities. It also serves as a communication tool when shared with family, other staff, or community members. In school setting, it can be passed on the other teacher or staff as a child moves from one grade level to another. Next, implementation of portfolio assessment. Different suggestions are available concerning the step to implement portfolio assessing in class. For instance, according to Russell Iron G. Lucas, the portfolio development process consists on four basic steps: collection, selection, reflection, and projection. However, planning is also a very important step to start with. 1. Planning. This initial step is meant to make things clear for the teacher and for the student as well. The teacher should set specific objective for the use or portfolio and explain the whole process to the learner. Building on this, they have to set their own goals behind going through this process. 2. Collection. Collection is the second step, but it is actually the first practical step in the creation of a portfolio. In the implementation of portfolio assessment, the learner has to collect all the material related to the course, including all the writing assessment achieved during the period designed for it. 3. Selection. The students should select their best pieces of work which best reflect their performance, skill improvement, and progress toward the achievement of the learning objectives, whether they are set by the teacher or the curriculum. In this step, they need to take into their consideration the criteria set for the assessment. 4. Reflection. In this phase, the learner consider their own work, write their reflection, and include them in the portfolio. This step is meant to make the learner self-reflective, involved in, aware of his or her learning. Other people's reflection are also important. For instance, the parent remarks can also be included. Besides, peers can compare their work and assess each other's portfolio content. Then, building on all this, the teacher assesses the whole work. This can take place in a conference or a class discussion. 5. Projection. Russell Irwin J. Lucas defined this step as looking ahead and setting goals for the future. So, the learner needs to judge the work as a whole in order to see his or her strength and weakness and building on them and set new goals. Okay, next, advantages of using portfolio assessment. First, allow the evaluator to see the student group or community as individual, each unique with its own character, needs, and strength. Next, serve as a cross-section lens, providing a basis for future analysis and planning. By viewing the total pattern of the community or of individual participant, one can identify areas of strength and weakness and barrier to success. Next, serve as concrete vehicles for communication, providing ongoing communication or exchange of information among those involved. Next, promote a shift in ownership. Community and participants can take an active role in examining where they have been and where they want to go. Next, portfolio assessment offers the possibility of addressing shortcomings of traditionally assessment. It offers the possibility of assessing the more complex and important aspect of an area or topic. Next, confer a broad scope of knowledge and information from many different people who know the program or person in different contexts. Example, participant, parents, teacher or staff, peer or community leaders. And next, disadvantages of using portfolio assessment. The first is the implementation of portfolio assessment is not as easy as it may seem. In fact, it necessitates much time and effort on the teacher part to make the appropriate plan for the whole process and to regularly check the portfolio content. The second is the reliability of this assessment tool is still debatable. Without a quantitative measure, It is difficult for teachers to score student work consistently because student work is not graded based on right or wrong answers, and there is an increase of subjectivity. Next, it is not very easy for the teacher to make sure that all the included work are the student own achievement, as it is hard to control outside influence on the product such as parental assistance and access to resources like computer. This makes the fairness of portfolio assessment also questionable. Next, idea that portfolio assessment enhance and contribute to learning is also questioned by Victoria B. Damiani. According to here, if the portfolio is to be scored, the student interest will be on defending their work instead of engaging in real peer and self-assessment. Even teacher can be more focused on regarding than on effective communication about the work. Next, students may wonder what the portfolio assessment result may add to them and whether they will give them better changes for college and admission than those who have not used portfolio. Next, portfolio assessment is not considered very useful for all language aspects as it is for the assessment of writing. There is no total agreement about the role of the student portfolio in assessment assistance, complementation, or an alternative for traditional tools. Uh, okay, that's all the material. I think enough, and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.